For this lesson, we're doing Module 5, Lesson 15. We're going to start by looking at Part D, which gives us the two fractions 3/7 and 2/6. Now, the very first thing we should be looking at is, can we take our smaller in size denominator, 6, and multiply some number to get to 7? So, does 6 times something equal 7? So the answer is no. So now we can go to our other strategy, which is we're going to multiply the denominators. So over here on the side, because I have room, I'm just going to multiply my denominators now. So I'm going to do 7 times 6, which equals 42. So I'm going to turn both of these fractions into a denominator of 32. So down below where I have some room, I'm going to show my work now. So I'm going to take 3/7 times some number over some number equals a denominator of 42. And I also have to take 2/6 times some number equals a denominator of 42. Now, we know that 7 times what can get us to 42? The answer is 6. If I put a 6 on the bottom, I need to put a 6 on the top. When I multiply my two numerators, 3 times 6, I get 18. So 3/7 is equal to 18/42. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to write it down, just so I keep all my work in line. This is very important when you come up and you write your fraction below. If you just do the work off to the side, you can sometimes still get the question wrong by not putting it back up top. Now for the bottom part, I need to ask myself, 6 times what equals 42? It's the other part of the factor, which is 7. If I put a 7 in the bottom, I need to put a 7 up top. 2 times 7 is 14 when I multiply my two numerators. So 2/6 is equal to 14 over 42. Now, very straightforward, I just look. My denominators are both 42, so now I can compare the fractions. I look, I have 18 on one side and I have 14 on the other. 18 is greater than 14, so I keep the sign going to the top. So 3/7 is greater than 2/6. Now, for this one, I'm going to use the same idea to help myself. I'm going to start with 4/3. So I'm going to look at 4/3 and 6/5. I notice I do not have the same denominator. If I ask myself, does 3 times something equal 5? The answer is no. So now I can just go ahead and multiply the two denominators. When I do that, 3 times 5, I get 15. So I need to turn both of these fractions into a denominator of 15. So I'm going to start with 4/3. I'm going to do 4/3 times whatever we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by, must be the same, into a denominator of 15. And the other fraction I'm given, 6/5 times some number over some number, is going to get us to a denominator of 15. Now I can just go ahead and multiply. I can do 3 times what equals 15? The answer is 5. If I put a 5 in the bottom, I need to put a 5 up top. 4 times 5 is 20. So 4/3 is equal to 20 over 15. Now I need to do the other half of it. I need to go ahead and find my denominator. So I have 5 times what equals 15? The answer is 3. If I put a 3 in the bottom, I need to put a 3 up top. 6 times 3 is 18. So 6/5 is equal to 18/15. Now I look, I have the same denominator, I have a 15 in both. Now I need to look at my two numerators. On one side, I have 20, on the other I have 18. 20 is greater than 18. So continue, make the same sign on the top line. So 4/3 is greater than 6/5. Now on the same side, on the next question, I'm going to take a look. Now, does 4 times something equal 8? The answer is yes. But we could also do our other trick of multiplying the two denominators. So for this one, we actually are going to do that. So I'm going to take 4 times 8, which equals 32. I'm going to make both denominators 32. So even though 4 times something equals 8, we can always, if we're stuck, if we're not sure if it goes in, we can go ahead and just do the multiplication. So I'm going to need to turn 3/4 into a denominator of 32. And I'm going to need to turn 7/8 into a denominator of 32. So on the first part, I have 4 times what equals 32. I can go back to my fact. 4 times 8. If I put an 8 on the bottom, I need to put an 8 on the top. 3 times 8 is 24. So underneath 3/4, I'm going to write 24 over 32 and draw my line. Now for the next factor, I have fraction, I have 7/8 times some number over some number is going to equal 32. 8 times 4, if I fill in my denominator, equals 32. If I put a 4 on the bottom, I need to put a 4 on the top. When I multiply my two numerators, which are 7 times 4, I get 28. So up here on the top, I'm going to keep my denominator of 32 and 28. Now all I have to do is look. I have the same denominator, 32, in both fractions, so I can compare them. Now I look at my two numerators. I have 24 on one side and I have 28 on the other. 28 is greater, and I can put my sign on the top line now. So I have 3/4 is less than 7/8. Again, quick thing to review. Make sure whenever you're comparing fractions, you have a common denominator, which means same. If you are ever stuck and you're not sure, you can always multiply the denominators. That will get you a set of denominators that are the same that you can use.